Something strange is happening in Jerusalem, something prophetic. Headlines can't explain it, and most of the world is blind to what's building. But for those watching with spiritual eyes, the signs are clear. The holy city is preparing, not for war or peace, but for the return of Jesus Christ. The Mount of Olives awaits his feet. The third temple is nearing construction, and when it rises, prophecy will accelerate. The timeline of the end times will lock in place. There will be no pause button, no rewinds, just a countdown to eternity. Are you ready for what Jerusalem is about to unleash? What most Christians don't realize is that the third temple isn't just about Jewish worship. It's the key that unlocks the final chapter of human history. Hidden within its coming construction are 7 specific reasons why the Antichrist will be drawn to its power like a moth to flame. For nearly 2,000 years, Jerusalem has been missing something crucial: God's house. The first temple was destroyed by Babylon in 586 BC. The second temple was demolished by Rome in 70 AD. But biblical prophecy demands a third temple must rise before Jesus returns. Daniel 9:27 describes the moment everything changes. He will confirm a covenant with many. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. And at the temple, he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. This prophecy requires a functioning temple with active sacrifices. No temple means no abomination. No abomination means no fulfillment of end-time prophecy. But here's the mind-blowing fact. The third temple isn't just needed for biblical prophecy. It's already being prepared by people who don't even believe in Jesus. They think they're preparing for their Messiah. They're actually preparing for ours. The first reason: the throne of global authority. The first reason the Antichrist craves the third temple is revealed in 2 Thessalonians 2:4. He will oppose and will exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worship, so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. The temple isn't just a building, it's the ultimate throne room. Throughout history, whoever controlled Jerusalem's temple controlled the Jewish people. But the third temple will be different. It will control more than just Jews. It will become the seat of global religious authority. Here's why this matters. The Antichrist won't just want political power, he'll demand religious worship. And there's only one place on earth where claiming to be God carries maximum impact: the Holy of Holies in Jerusalem's temple. When the Antichrist sits in that sacred space, he'll be making the ultimate blasphemous statement to every religion on earth. It will be his coronation as the false god of the world. The second reason: the abomination strategy. The second reason involves the Antichrist's master plan for breaking Jewish faith. Daniel 11:31 prophesies, his armed forces will rise up to desecrate the temple fortress and will abolish the daily sacrifice. Then they will set up the abomination that causes desolation. This isn't random destruction, it's strategic defilement. The Antichrist knows that Jews have waited 2,000 years for their temple. When he defiles it, he'll crush their deepest hopes and force them to choose between their faith and their lives. But here's the brilliant evil of his strategy. By first allowing the temple to be built, he gains Jewish trust. They'll see him as their protector and benefactor. When he later defiles it, the betrayal will be so devastating that many will abandon their faith entirely. The temple becomes bait in the Antichrist's trap to capture Jewish souls. The third reason: the sacrifice connection. The third reason the Antichrist targets the temple involves the daily sacrifices. Hebrews 10:4 explains that it is impossible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. The Antichrist knows this truth, and he'll use it as a weapon. When Jews rebuild the temple and restart sacrifices, they'll be rejecting Jesus' perfect sacrifice on the cross. The Antichrist will encourage this rejection because it keeps them. But here's the shocking twist. When the Antichrist stops these sacrifices halfway through the tribulation, he won't be ending meaningless rituals. He'll be forcing Jews to confront the reality that only Jesus' blood can truly save them. The sacrifice system becomes a spiritual mirror that reflects their need for Christ. The fourth reason, the prophecy fulfillment trap. The fourth reason reveals the Antichrist's attempt to hijack biblical prophecy. He knows that Christians expect the temple to be rebuilt before Jesus returns, so he'll help build it, then claim credit for fulfilling prophecy. Revelation 13:3-4 describes how the world will worship the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it?" Part of this worship will come from his apparent ability to fulfill biblical predictions. People will think if he can make the temple happen, maybe he really is the Messiah. The Antichrist will present himself as the answer to every prophetic promise, using the temple as proof of his divine calling. But he's not fulfilling prophecy. He's falling into God's prophetic trap that leads to his own destruction. The fifth reason, the Jerusalem control factor. The fifth reason involves controlling Jerusalem itself. Zechariah 12:3 prophesies, "On that day, when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All who try to move it will injure themselves." Jerusalem isn't just another city. It's the prophetic epicenter of the world. Whoever controls Jerusalem influences global events, but whoever controls Jerusalem's temple controls Jerusalem's spiritual authority. The Antichrist understands that his new world order requires more than political submission. It needs religious conversion. The temple becomes his platform for demanding worship from every nation on earth. When he sits in God's house, he'll be claiming authority over God's chosen city and God's chosen people. The sixth and seventh reasons, the deception and destruction plans. The sixth reason the Antichrist wants the temple is for mass deception. 2 Thessalonians 2:9-11 warns, "The coming of the lawless one will be in accordance with how Satan works. He will use all sorts of displays of power through signs and wonders that serve the lie, and all the ways that wickedness deceives those who are perishing." The temple provides the perfect stage for supernatural deception. Ancient sacred space mixed with demonic miracles will convince millions that the Antichrist really is divine. The seventh reason is pure destruction. But he's not starting a war he can win. He's triggering the battle that ensures his eternal defeat. The first preparation, the Temple Institute. Now, here's what will shock you. Preparations for the third temple aren't future plans, they're current reality. The first major preparation is the Temple Institute in Jerusalem, founded in 1987. This organization has recreated over 60 sacred vessels needed for temple worship. Golden menorahs, silver trumpets, priestly garments, altar implements. Everything described in Exodus has been crafted according to biblical specifications. These aren't museum pieces, they're functional religious tools waiting for a temple to house them. The Institute's motto is chilling. The temple will be rebuilt, not might be or could be, will be. They're not hoping for the temple. They're preparing for it with absolute certainty. And third preparations, the red heifer and priestly training. The second preparation involves the red heifer prophecy from Numbers 19. Without a perfect red heifer, the temple cannot be purified for worship. For decades, this seemed impossible, until 2022, when several red heifers were born in Texas and shipped to Israel. Jewish rabbis have confirmed these heifers meet biblical requirements. They're currently being guarded and prepared for the purification ceremony that will make temple worship possible again. The third preparation is priestly training. The Temple Institute runs a school where Jewish men from the tribe of Levi learn ancient priestly duties. They study sacrifice procedures, temple rituals, and ceremonial requirements. These aren't academic exercises. They're practical preparations for men who expect to serve in a rebuilt temple within their lifetimes. The fourth and fifth preparations: architectural plans and construction materials. The fourth preparation is complete architectural plans. Using biblical descriptions, archaeological evidence, and computer modeling, architects have created detailed blueprints for the third temple. Every measurement, every room, every sacred space has been precisely calculated. These plans don't exist in some distant future. They exist today, ready for construction to begin at a moment's notice. The fifth preparation is even more incredible: quarried stones. In underground chambers near Jerusalem, massive limestone blocks have been cut and shaped according to temple specifications. Just like Solomon's original temple, these stones are prepared off-site so construction can proceed quietly and quickly. The stones are waiting. The plans are ready. Only permission is needed. The sixth, seventh, and eighth preparations. The sixth preparation is musical training. Levitical musicians are learning the ancient songs and musical arrangements used in temple worship. They're practicing on recreated biblical instruments, preparing to lead worship in a rebuilt temple. The seventh preparation involves incense production. The Temple Institute has recreated the secret formula for temple incense described in Exodus 30. This sacred mixture requires 11 specific spices in exact proportions, and they have it ready. The eighth preparation is perhaps the most controversial: genetic testing. Some Jewish organizations are using DNA analysis to identify men who can prove descent from Aaron, the high priest. These men would be qualified to serve as temple priests and perform the most sacred ceremonies. Modern science is being used to fulfill ancient religious requirements. The ninth and 10th preparations: political and financial support. The ninth preparation involves political support. Several Israeli political parties now include Third Temple construction in their official platforms. What was once considered fringe religious fantasy is becoming mainstream political policy. Government officials, military leaders, and religious authorities are openly discussing when, not if, the temple will be rebuilt. The 10th and final preparation is financial backing. Multiple organizations have raised millions of dollars specifically for temple construction. Wealthy Jewish donors worldwide are contributing to temple funds, believing they're investing in the most important religious project in human history. The money is ready. The plans are complete. The materials are prepared. The only thing missing is the right moment. Accelerates. But here's what most people don't understand. The third temple isn't just about Jewish worship, it's the starting gun for the final countdown to Jesus' return. When the temple rises, several prophetic clocks start ticking simultaneously. The 7-year tribulation period begins. The Antichrist's deception campaign launches. God's judgment timeline activates. Daniel 12:11 to 12 gives us the exact countdown. From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. Blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of the 1,335 days. These aren't symbolic numbers, they're literal days. When the temple is defiled, we'll know exactly how much time remains until Jesus returns. Seat of Olives connection. But the temple is only half the story. Zechariah 14:4 prophecies. On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley with half of the mountain moving north and half moving south. Jesus will return to the exact location where he ascended. The Mount of Olives overlooks the Temple Mount. When he comes back, he'll be looking directly at the temple, whether it's the original building or the Antichrist's defiled version. Here's the incredible detail. Geological surveys show the Mount of Olives sits on a major fault line. The earthquake described in Zechariah isn't just prophetic poetry, it's geological inevitability waiting for the right trigger. Scene 6, the question that demands an answer. The signs are undeniable, the preparations are complete, the timeline is accelerating. Jerusalem is preparing for something that will change everything. The third temple will rise. The Antichrist will claim it. Jesus will reclaim it. And every person alive will be forced to choose which king they'll serve. The temple represents the ultimate collision between God's kingdom and Satan's kingdom, between truth and deception, between the real Messiah and the false one. When it's built, there will be no pause button, no rewinds, just a countdown to eternity that ends with Jesus Christ standing victorious on the Mount of Olives, looking down at his reclaimed temple in his restored city. The question isn't whether these events will happen. Biblical prophecy guarantees they will. The question is, are you ready for what Jerusalem is about to unleash? Will you recognize the signs when they appear? Will you choose the right king when the choice becomes clear? Will you be prepared for the acceleration of prophecy that begins when the third temple rises? Something strange is unfolding in Jerusalem. But for those watching with spiritual eyes, it's not strange at all. It's the fulfillment of promises made thousands of years ago. The holy city is preparing. The temple is coming. Jesus is returning. And time is running out to get ready. What will you do with the time you have left?